Good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning, and I am your host, Jennifer Sonko, and I am here with my amazing co-host, Ibrahim Abalde. You're so bahnat.
No, dafa garaw. Why lo mo wax bala programme bi di start ne na ma de.
Ah, moy lan?
Moy cutie. I love that.
Cutie.
Wow, I love that.
So before we came on, I told him he's so cute, so he's actually bluffing because of that.
Definitely.
Because I said he's cute. But I always tell the viewers that the things that we say behind the scenes are even more exciting
but I'll
than
also,
the things we say here.
I will also accept the compliment, and I love it when a beautiful lady says you are cute. I mean, it's always good. It's good feeling.
It's good feeling,
it's that
right?
feeling.
It's that feeling. So thank you so much for joining us. I believe you had an exciting one yesterday with Aliu, because I was not here with you yesterday, but I'm aware that it was really interesting program.
But it was boring, not very.
It was fun. I'm sure it was fun.
Two men on the same platform. You know, it's good to have you. It's good to have you so that we can mix and blend it together. Yes.
Anyway, exactly. We have the African proverb as usual, and in fact we have an interesting one today, and unfortunately we do not have the newspaper review today, but hopefully tomorrow we'll bring you what is happening in the country in relation to what newspapers are reporting. And on social issues today, we'll be talking about a fairy tale performance at the AFCON. What next for the Minister Bakari Baji, Minister for Youth and Sports? The Scorpions were called debutants. They were called underdogs. They were the lowest ranked team at the AFCON, and they were able to make it to the quarterfinals of the championship. We want to know what next for football, and beyond football, we found out that because Gambian Scorpions made it to the quarterfinals, they have motivated other young people doing other sports. So we want to know what support is there, what extra is there to make sure that sports moves in this country. I think we deserve that. And also we'll be taking a look at on Community Watch, the 57th independence anniversary of the country. We'll be taking a look at some of the preparations, the security checks, you know, and all of that, VIPs, and the list goes on. So we'll be joined by representatives from the Office of the President to take us through that. And on Click segment today, we'll be joined by Skengman Sweezy to take us through what is happening in the world of entertainment. Looking forward to that. And do not forget that part of our partners is One Stop Water Solution, located right there at the Sukuta Highway for all your water filters. You deserve quality water. It's a fundamental human right, you guys.
Clean drinking water.
Clean drinking water. So just for anything that can purify your water, head right on to One Stop Water Solution right there on the Sukuta Highway.
You know, water is something
and
very
also
important.
The Surawa Kamara Unified IT Institute, for all of your IT needs, ranging from Cisco, ranging from diploma, ranging from certificate. Head right onto them. It's right in front of you. The information is right in front of you right now. Take it, call them, go to them and tell them your IT needs. It is very important. IT, muna use Excel, muna use Word.
Definitely, especially in our today world. I mean, you need IT to move. Without IT, you can't.
Yeah.
Because our everyday life is IT.
Yeah.
Even the mobile phone that we use today, we are practicing IT.
Yeah.
So it is very important for you to go learn IT. The only person that I've seen in this world that did not learn IT is Korka. I mean, yes. Korka doesn't. He
use laptop.
Well, daf ko dey use. Why jangut ko? How ma lu xew? Wow. No pa.
Why lolu ñaaw na de. Why fi mu nekk nii xam nañ ne independence bi, Gambian independence bi Friday la. Man, I'm so excited suñ na independence. Why man nag suñ na independence ma laajte. Man, how far have we gone? Xam nga as a country fan la ñoo dem. Why sometimes ta mu remind me of history. Su ma waree dem dafi independence ma sol suma kawas. You know, kawas bu ees, later bu ees, uniform bu ees. So ma bëgg xam da mos nga dem match.
Man, suma independence, man ko remember lolu grade 4 la won.
Okay.
I can remember ñu def announcement be over Radio Seed. Time xam nga Radio Seed.
Radio Seed dama ko daan dégg waaye fana man time bi ma mag fekk Radio Seed amatut.
Time boobu noonu def nañ announcement bi ñu ne school boss bi daf ñoo ñëw jël ci Bundum police station.
Ndeysaan.
Ma jóg boori 4 AM suma yaay ndeysaan mu jóg sawar si nag mooy suma first independence fekk maa ngi xaw a tuuti mu jóg jëndal ma kawaas yu wee understand nga sol daala yu black waaw ba pare sol suma Latrikunda sabiji short bi ba pare sol suma uniform bu es maa ngi excited after ma duga si boss suma yaay gunge ma ba si Bundum police station bi ma duga si boss bi ba pare ma dem Independence Stadium mooy suma first day tam ma dem Independence Stadium you know bu ma àggee si stadium bi I was surprised to see this mighty xam nga structure my whole stadium bi man I think Independence bi yëpp loolu laa si gën a
the fact that you mënoon nga gis
naa dem naa si stadium bi you know gis naa nit yaa ngi maaj président bi ak yooyu noonu so wow, it was interesting. Man tamit,
it used to be really exciting. Man mangi remember suma mom ma daan gunge. So man tamit dafa make sure ma am later bu es, you know, am kawas bu es, everything. So and actually dañoo jóg 5 o'clock nag boss bi ñëw 8 de. Waaye 5 la ñoo jóg.
Waaw man 4 laa jóg. Toppatoo foofu because I don't want to miss it.
Bëgguñu ko miss. So dañoo make sure 5 o'clock ñu dem taxaw si tali bi pour ñu yóbbu ñu just pour independence rek. Waaye ma bëgg a xam tamit yow dinañ ne yaa ma mag in a way understand nga am na yoo xam ne gis nga ko man gisuma ko so yow ngay look back from time boobu sa grade 4 nga war a dem independence nga ni nga gisee woon dëkk bi ak dëkk bi naka nga ko gisee léegi because independence tam dafa nekk loo xam ne opportunity la pour ñu mën a reflect on how far we have gone so yow naka nga ko gisee difference bi
soo seetee time boobu noonu comme ñun time buñ doon remember when it comes to independence time boobu nit ñi bëriwuñ comme Gambia dama laa startal fu suma papa doon celebrate independence man suma daat mu ne time boobu noonu ñoom Basse Kobakunda primary school lañ dem def seen first independence remember na time boobu noonu ñu ngi amee woon ay cash xaw ma dañ leen joxoon ay cash ba pare jox leen xaw ma ay $10 you know so moom noonu la ba léegi loolu la ma dee wax su independence jotee man tam remember naa ko time boobu nit ñi bëriwuñ although time boobu infrastructure bëriwut comme yooyu noonu waaye da ngaa gis ne nit ñi yëpp almost dëkk bi yëpp a xamante understand nga waaw almost dëkk bi yëpp a xamante ba pare da ngaa gis ne tam time boobu noonu daal it wasn't too much struggle tam understand
but obviously development comes with struggle right
exactly so da ngaa seet léegi development bu am léegi amutoon time boobu noonu soo gisee tey comme maybe certain situations ñu ngi ko am development la comme noo ko waxee it comes with it
dafa mel ni su ma xoolee OIC bi tey ñu war a demolish certain things you know it comes with development it has to happen for us to be able to
so da ngaa gis ne comme léegi ñun fuñ nekka ak fuñ nekkoon it's totally different da ngaa gis léegi development ñëw na da ngaa gis léegi nit ñi bëri nañ ba pare nit yaa ngi gën a jànga ñu ngi gën a aware
waaye development war na moo gën a mun a yokk tam de ñu ne 57
waaw dafa gën a ñëw I believe because xam nga rek ñu ngay gis ne léegi comme suñ leader yi da ngaa gis léegi ñoom tam xam nañ lu nekk di dox si yeneen dëkk yi xam nga time boobu nag da ngaa ne ok fine da ngaa 100% comme development bi development oriented yooyu noonu nekkutoon di dox noonu waaye léegi comme nit ñi xam nañ and people are
holding leaders accountable as well
talking about it bu fii doxut rek da ngaa gis ku taxaw mu ne lii doxut de naka la mel so I believe xam naa balaa ñoo àgga 60 su soobee yàlla suñ ko amul non suñ ko amul 100% xam naa ne dinañ ko jege.
Okay, waaye anyway comme man ni ma ko dee waxee
waaye independent lu important la.
Sure.
It goes beyond only celebrating the day. waaye pour ñu reflect. xam nga fuñ jógee ak fuñ toolu. soo gisee ma wax la lii xam nga man xam naa ne du ma mag boobu waaye remember naa fuñ nekkoon. Understand nga ak fuñ nekka tey. léegi la development gën a am previous years. ba pare léegi la nit ñi gën a jànga. Understand nga ba pare léegi la nit ñi gën a am like the right to ask questions.
Balde yaa ngi maa won ne nag ne independence waruma see wax bu bari. fi mu ne nii yaa ngi maa won ne yaa ma mag de di ma won ne dafa am fu ma war a am si independence bi daal di ma yóbbu ba ay Kobakunda yoo xam ne xam nga ne mënuma see wax lu bari.
yow xam nga ne man ban year mooy sa first independence.
Well man
bi nga xam ne fekkee nga ko.
so da nga du ma ko wax nag parce que su ma ko waxee dañoo mën a calculer.
non dama bugg a xam rek
waxuma ko waaye xam naa ne daal grade 5 I can remember laa demoon independence and it was so exciting for me because I always love to try different things and it was a good experience and I know that is how all of the kids watching that's how they're feeling right now. They're excited, disturbing their parents that they want new socks, new this and that is all towards love for country and all of that. so duma la wax nak kagn la suma first independence wa buguma ñu xam dama ko nu ba waaw so yes, if the African proverb is ready, let's now delve into the African proverb, a very interesting one. Teeth do not see poverty. Teeth do not see poverty. That is our African proverb. It's right in front of you. Teeth do not see poverty.
I'll allow you to go on that one first.
Okay, teeth do not see poverty.
Yes.
I think we've dealt with something a bit similar. It just has to do with no matter what the circumstance, people just find a reason to smile. That is what it tells me. Aksi jafe-jafe bo munti neka, kula approach ak happiness or with joy, you will smile back despite how you're feeling. The last time I talked about people dealing with mental health issues. It doesn't mean that because someone is smiling, the person is okay. That is why it is important, you know, when you're close to people, it's good that when I come in the morning, I go to Ibrahima and say, Ibrahima, are you sure you're okay? Are you okay? Ask for 3 times. Maybe then you would tell me you're not fine. And it does not show, considering your physique and all of that, but deep down you're not okay. You know, so circumstances do not determine a person's facial expression, bringing it down to the person's smile. So have you been in any situation where you felt so hurt, but you know, you had to be strong and just keep on smiling and healing inside? Have you been in that kind of a situation before?
So many times.
Okay.
It's not only once. Sometimes it's work. Sometimes it's family.
Right.
Sometimes it's friends. Sometimes business dealings.
Yeah.
Understand why? At some point, you don't have to get that emotional outburst all the time. You need to be able to control your emotions.
Yeah.
You understand? At times, it's important pour nga understand dafa am situation bu nek an noko handle.
Right.
But I believe now, what I believe is, at some point you will get over it.
Okay.
At times, you know, try to manage your feelings. I mean, know how to react when it comes to certain things.
Right.
Yes, but so many times.
Why I am a huge advocate of not holding on to your thoughts or holding on to things that hurt you. I believe in talking about things that I'm going through. The moment I talk about things that I'm going through to the right people, I feel at ease. You know, there are certain situations where you need to cry it out, and you'll be fine.
You've mentioned something very important.
Right.
To the right people.
To the right people.
Yes.
Yes.
But if you're unfortunate to mention your feelings to the wrong people,
then you
have
trouble.
a problem. You become a subject of discussion.
Yeah, you know, in Gambia, we have this institution that does therapy. There's a specific institution, therapy like that. People can go there and see a therapist. But in Gambia here, if you see a therapist, you know, téléphone normal pour nga dem gis therapist waxtaan ak moom soo fiilee ne yow amuloo kenn koo mun a waxal mun ngaa dem su ñooñu wax ak ñoom loolu lañ jànga waaye Gambia fii nii dama fii ne affaire mental health dañ ko jël teg ko si level boo xam ne aagu fa waaw
there is a friend of mine bi nga xam ne like this guy he act abnormal all the time comme daf dee toog rek mu nekkal boppam he doesn't talk to people dafa talk sometimes at times mu ree at times mu stress one day almost koñ bi yëpp ñu ne kii dafa confuse dafa dof ñu téye ko dof waaw dem na at some point dafa simi daalaami sa jeena ba mu dox si koñ bi
gis nga kooku su amoon ku ko engage things would have been really different
ma ne ko I want to talk to you
right
mu ne mu ñëw ma ne ko what is wrong jeena ba mu explainal ma situation am bi at the end of time dama jooy si suma xol bi ma ne on the whole society ñu ngay jooy kii wrong kii dofut mu ne ma ne Balde bu nekkee yow yaa go through man lu ma go through sooytu dangaa dof waaw kooku am na a whole lot of problems family issues yi nga xam ne they are very sensitive dama ko feel in such a situation ba léegi su ma toogee sometimes su ma ko xalaatee dama dee bëgg a jooy
déedéet est-ce que xam nga ne society bi si boppam moo dee dofloo nit ñi because comme ni ma la ko waxee you can't see a therapist soo ko defee ñu ne da nga dof there are certain things if you try to do them they kind of like they want to like put everyone in a bubble and it's unfair. People should have their choices as to who they want to associate with, how they want to behave, you know, things that they want to say and all of that. So I think really society contributes to people, you know, having mental health issues. But again, coming back to our proverb, do not depend on somebody's facial expression to determine if the person is feeling good. It is always good to ask the next person around you if they're okay. Ask them 3 times. Maybe they will cry out, you know, and don't hold on to your feelings.
Do you know it's normal to cry?
It's
to
normal.
cry out.
And you know, I cry a lot.
It's normal.
I do when I am not okay.
But we have a problem as men. If we cry, they'll be like, men should not cry. You know, go renga gisna even buneke, even when there is funeral, you know, go bum joy.
Wow.
So these are things that
these are all societal problems.
It's normal.
It's
a normal thing.
Okay. Why bull joy na? Bull joy. Anyway, thank you so much for that. You know, it's been a good engagement here talking about the 57th independence anniversary of the Gambia as well as our African proverb. So now we will take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we will delve into issues relating to the 57th independence anniversary. We'll be right back.
There's a drive within us, a powerful force that keeps us going. It keeps us excited as we live, feel, and touch what we desire. Humans are social in nature. Contact is a daily activity that we find hard to live without. Showing care and consideration for people, their values, cultures, perspectives, beliefs, needs, and feelings will bring the best out of them and their societies in general. The drive to attain great feats and realize our goals gives birth to different means of getting from point A to B, giving life a more positive feeling of wanting to push ahead with something, making it safer and secure. Discipline leads to consistency, bridging our goals and accomplishments. Discipline develops focus.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. So we've already dealt with our African proverb. If you've missed it, just head right on to our Facebook and YouTube pages to check out what you've missed. So Ibrahim, now we're heading right on to a discussion relating to the 57th independence anniversary of the Gambia, and we're joined by Auntie Ami Bojang Sisoho once again on a different topic today, but it's always exciting to have her here. So much to learn from her whenever she's on this platform. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
All right.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's the 57th independence anniversary of the Gambia. Take us through some of the preparations that are underway. What VIP guests are we expecting and all of that?
Thank you. You may realize that today I'm alone.
Yes.
Because my other colleagues from the committee are busy. Like the security are on the dress fitting rehearsal. Yeah. The education, Mr. Mendy, who was almost supposed to be here, also busy preparing for the students, their sports programs in the afternoon and all those things. So they are really busy to be here. But we've gone far with the, they are inviting, there is no external VVIP coming.
Okay.
Because as you may realize, we've just gone through the inauguration. That was huge. And, but the VIPs nationally will be here. That will involve the diplomats and other VIPs who are in the country. And we expect them to be here. Secondly, also we expect the Gambians to come out to be part of the celebration. And as you realize, like we're doing now, we've tried to reach out to the media so that people are also aware of some of the things that are going to happen. This year is a low-key, as we say. When we say low-key, it means it's not as a huge in terms of the actual day engagement. But it's huge in terms of the number of years we are celebrating. That is 57 years of nationhood. That calls for a lot of reflection. We have to understand why we need to celebrate this day, but also what do we do to make sure that it's just not the ceremonial part. The discussion continues even after the ceremonial part took place. So the issue this year, we were trying to focus our discussion on the economic independence is possible. When you say economic independence is possible, sometimes people will say, how do you discuss, how can you be economically independent?
Right.
But before I come here, I just want to emphasize that this year, because it's low-key, actually it's on the schools from Banjul that will be participating. And even from the schools, they're going to do, of course, a selection to represent the schools. And that is going to happen so that we also want the ceremonial, the whole thing, to be as short as possible. Because over the years, we have observed that the children, they come very early and they stay under the sun. It's hot, you know, some will even fall down. We have to be considerate as much as possible so that everybody enjoys the day as much as well, and whatever we need to do, we'll also do it. Coming back to the theme,
the economic
independence is possible. The idea behind is for Gambians to reflect. When we say independence, political independence, we've gotten that. That is the political part. But when we say real independence, it's true that no country in the world is independent economically. We all are interdependent. But as citizens, individuals, how do we strive to ensure that we are able to depend more on ourselves than always having this syndrome of having to depend on others for even simple, basic things. At the national level, the country cannot do without depending on others. There is no country that will depend only on yourself. But you have to have a trend where the majority of your population are working towards making themselves economically empowered.
And where do you think we should start when it comes to that?
For me, my perception about it is that when we look at economic independence, it starts somewhere. Skills, education are all part of the process. When I was younger, my grandmother always had rice throughout the year. After harvesting, the rice will take her to the next season. How was that possible? A single woman on a rice field being able to produce that. Yes, there are weather conditions that supported it. Those things we have to take into consideration. But when it comes to mechanism, like the mechanics in terms of equipment, and those were not there. So it's just the weather that was supportive. But now we have the weather variation is there, that's a fact. But what alternatives can we have? That is where irrigation comes in. This is where the state has a responsibility through agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, to provide the infrastructure in terms of rice production to grow as we expect it. We always claim that Jahali Pachar can feed the country. Some will tell you our rice fields in Kudang can, Kuntauru can feed the country. But are we really taking the steps to make sure that happens?
But also the other question is the political will there in relation to agriculture moving forward?
I think the political will is there. If you look at the last 5 years, how many tractors came to this country at one go? That's a lot. Secondly, I have been part of the presidential entourage when he moves around the country. Like, for example, in URR, or even CRR, they have now the canals, the local canals there, that have been constructed with cement to ensure that it's durable. Because what happened, it was the muddy type, so maybe after each season you have to go back to it. I think now they have gone far to expand those things so that they become more sustainable, to ensure that the waterways are available, so that the rice cultivation there can be continuous. And if you look at Jahale Pacha, there is a Gambian who is involved, but the Gambian involved, because the person has taken the initiative and it is seen as the right direction to go to, government is now supporting that through the Roots Project. That shows that if we all are serious in the small areas we are operating, together we can be big. I think about it from the aspect of gardening. I always take gardening as an example. If you can have 20 women in a garden, what about the other 20 young people sitting at home who could have joined them? Will that not have doubled the income? Because you have doubled the produce in a way. So that can double the income. If that is happening, now we're talking about all these small entrepreneurial projects here and there, individual young people, we have to acknowledge that are now coming up to be very enterprising. If we have our own setup in terms of while those are producing, others are processing, others are marketing. If we have that chain, and it should be everybody's business, not just to say, oh, I cannot do that. Gardening, what do you need? When you have the water, what do you need? The tools to do it. Now, in fact, we have seen that horticulture is just few people on the land, and it goes. So imagine how many people can do that. Imagine if we have our Gambians getting hold of the welding sector to dominate it, getting hold of the small enterprises and dominate it. In other countries, we have realized that there are certain sectors of the economy, only the citizens of that country will operate there. So I think from the national to the micro level, everybody has a responsibility, and we all need to push to make sure it
goes down to our education, with our education.
Exactly.
Because in those countries, these people are already directed towards skills at that time. So unless we also review what we have currently, then the problem will stay.
I think it has been reviewed because
they're on it.
The TVEC is really helping. Because if you look at, for example, Nemban, you have young people there in different areas. In fact, I remember when the president said we are going to have smart gardening, some people were laughing. But it was when we went there that I understood better what he was talking about. There was this technology, these young people set up, and they used the telephone to water the garden. And it was like, is this true? And there was a vehicle that was put on engine by young Gambians. So it means that the possibility is there. But do we have the orientation as young people to make sure we push it? We push it. Electrical work, this technical work. You have so many young people who are sitting down. Sometimes I think we just need to get up and pull everybody, say, you know what, get up and do this.
It's like better said than done.
But look at the issue of bread, for example. How many communities have organized themselves to ensure that they have kiosks, they have a bakery in the community where young people will be employed, some will be doing the bakery, some will be doing the selling. You know, the chain work. I think we have the human resource, is the determination.
But sometimes, Auntie Ame, there are just factors there to discourage these young people as well. Because
such as,
let's talk about fishing, for instance. You know,
even the
fishing. You know, when it's Tobaski. You know, and people go, there's no fish because Gambians are not seeing it as a lucrative business. And according to the few ones that are there, they get to say they can't sell their produce, they can't sell their fish. They have individuals who are not Gambians determining what the price should be.
I think that I would agree to that to just some extent.
You
know, if we have 10 fishing boats owned by Gambians, the suppliers, the buyers will have to be Gambians at one point. Because that fish that has been caught needs to go somewhere. And I don't think government will see all that fish. Or even, you see, sometimes I just want to put the government away from all this. What are our businessmen doing? Why are they taking that risk? There are several factors to that. Talking about the fishing sector, I remember there were some years when Gambians were given boats. From government, but also from private individuals. They just sold the boat and went away. These are bad examples. If we want to follow it, we will not move.
Yeah, but Auntie
so
Ami, I've
I've
also seen somebody that got boats, not from the government. The person got it on their own, but the person could not walk as well.
Why? These are the things we have to expose. No, we have to expose some of the challenges so that it are there. We are there. We have to deal with that as a country, because there must be somebody responsible for something. So, if things don't work, let's try to get to the root cause of it, why it didn't work. Who is there to take responsibility for that? Somebody must take responsibility. We must be accountable. And when we talk about accountability, it's not just like you give me money, I take. No, it's not about that. Even the processes and how we do things are all part of the accountability processes. I think there is need for more decentralized organizing. The decentralized organizing, what I mean by that is at each region, area, let us look at the youthful population there. What is there? What are they doing? I think there is need for more research to find out what those young people sitting there want to do. Why do they want that preference? What alternatives do they have? And we try to push as a country. If you are ashamed of going around selling small things here and there, go to the next country and see what is happening. They're all young people in the morning. Everybody gets up. Even if it is a copy you're going to sell, you make sure you sell it, you get something.
Yeah, but Auntie Ami, again, let's also remember that Gambians sometimes do not tend to value what they own.
But it depends on if they, for me, I have seen challenges with that.
Yes.
Because what I have observed is that when Gambians own something, you are selling a bag of rice, let's say $10. This one is selling it $8. You will prefer your $10 bag to stay in the shop for 10 months just because you want the $10. This guy, who is not even Gambian maybe, comes and sell it, quick turnover with less and quickly gets it done. So the business will be moving with that person more than the Gambian who wants to be stationed with a particular fixed price that should take longer to achieve. We have to look at it. I think we need to have a concrete debate with the experts.
I think because also different factors also determine that, because supply, marketing, transportation, you know. But anyway, let's not turn the conversation into this.
It's part of the celebration, because it's like citizens have to be triggered to start thinking of what do we need to move as a country. What economic activities, what economic policies should be there so that the citizens could benefit from these things and move on.
Well, at some point, people say Gambian youths don't want to work. Many a times.
I don't believe that either.
I also disagree. Because I've been seeing many youths that are engaged on certain things. I mean, I've even sent my little brother to GTTI to go and learn some technical work. But at the end of the time, if the environment is not conducive for them, you learn your skill, and at the end of the time you're not getting anything from it. I think this is the thing that discourages people from this.
That could be a factor. But also, I think we are not outgoing like the others are. If you look at Gambian character, we just want to say, oh, that's not my business, that's not my area, I'm not going there, I've not been invited. But others are coming, they are not invited. You push, you get what you want. What that means, we should take that attitude of going out for things.
We also, as Gambians, have this syndrome that, I mean, in my country, I cannot do certain things.
The last time I talked about how content Gambians can be. Sometimes they're too content. When they get $1,000, they feel like the $1,000 is okay. There's no need to get a $10,000. You know, sometimes that is a problem. But thank God, as you leave here, we'll be joined by the Minister for Youth and Sports. We already started a discussion on youth.
I think should continue.
So he should continue from there, Ibrahim. him when he comes.
I think
exactly.
Yes.
So let's still focus on independence.
57th independent. We are still on it anyway.
Yeah.
So finally, what other things are there as in preparations? What time is it starting when it comes to time, and as well as the invitation cards? You know,
already the protocol has started distributing the invitation. They are responsible for the cards. They have the different days as usual. They go by those protocols. But I think there is something important that we need to emphasize. The president will be at the square at 10 o'clock. Okay. So we request the public to be there on time, especially if you are given a card. You don't want to see the president sitting and then you walking in. Yeah. I think that will be a little bit of an embarrassment. And the sad thing is that the security will stop you and they will not allow you in. And I don't think people want to leave their houses and come all the way there just to be told that you are late, because you knew when you were leaving your house that you are already late. So we try to be there on time. And also the security, my colleagues are not here, but as usual, they will have the traffic control side of it, who will direct where the vehicles should be parked and everything. And the other security forces will, of course, have the usual march pass with their, you know, everybody says we are the best in terms of march pass. So we're expecting those things to happen. And we're expecting also the public to come and turn out and come and celebrate the day. It is our day. It is for us. We are the ones who fought it through our forefathers. So it's time for us to continue the struggle and ensure that we also hand it over to the next generation in the best possible way.
Exactly, very important. So, I mean, you said we are concentrating only on schools in Banjul. Are we having any intention? It used to be celebrated on certain places. Are we having that this time?
It's not part of the discussion, except schools take it on their own or regions take it on their own. But at the national level, this is because we discuss at the national level. So I don't know what the regions are planning, whether they want to do their own decentralized march pass or not. But at the national level, this is the program. After the march pass, we disperse. But I know that the schools, Ministry of Education is working with the schools from all the regions to have the sports aspect of it at the Independence Stadium in the afternoon. And he mentioned that from 2 o'clock onwards, they would like to have the sports aspect of it, just to get the young people from different regions engaged in the celebration. Because it, you know, independence used to be very exciting, but then as we grow as a nation, we give priority to other things, you know, than some of these things that are happening, that have been happening in the past. So, but we just wish everybody a happy independence. Let us continue discussing, let us engage, let us reflect. We can debate about issues that will take our country forward. And I think as media people, you have a very important role in that process to ensure that we engage ourselves, to discuss our issues. How do we deal with our issues? What can we learn from others? If, for example, a foreigner comes in and takes a basket, go around every day to earn something, what can we do as Gambians to emulate such good practices to improve our livelihoods?
So is this going to be a joint production, the coverage?
Yes, that's the national. I am always excited nowadays to talk about the media dimension, because one, we have, and we will make sure that once we get that, when we get to the square, the photographers, we have to address it, because the last time we had challenges at the stadium when we had the inauguration. So we've learned from all those things and how we are going to improve.
Okay, on a final note, what time should all the guests be seated?
Oh, 9:30.
9:30.
9:30 people should be seated.
Okay, that's very clear.
For them, 10 o'clock.
It's not Gambian time.
No, it's not Gambian time.
Let's not do the Gambian time.
No, I think we are doing away with the Gambian time. For the last 5 years, if you observe it, we have been doing away with the Gambian time as much as possible. And I think that should continue. because people just do those things Gambian time. But when they go outside, they respect the GMT.
Right.
So
okay, thank you so much, Auntie Ame, for joining us, and happy 57th Independence Anniversary to you and the viewers. Like you said, the debate continues. It's a debate to agree to disagree when it comes to where we want to see our country. It's about, you know, where we really want to see our country.
Not only see, what do we do to
what do we do as well? And when we want to see it there, then we will put in the effort. So thank you so much for joining us. So we'll go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by the Minister for Youth and Sports, Bakari Baji, and we'll be talking about just what next after AFCON in relation to not just football but other sports, and just improving sports in the Gambia. I think there's a lot of questions waiting for him here.
Absolutely.
So he will join us in a bit.
We'll be back.
nga noro tarale birin duniya be datila ada ben na baluwo konole nsulata noro pour kanna dokuwol ke kanna bungol lo kanna fengol fi hanim fanan kanna kanunyol je noro ka kuol sone yandi woto kiusel ya kiu pawa sanya kutole nati isela kas pawa sotono katabake anin ñing kiusel la ñing koot kuto ila duniya malandi anin ñing star 363 has katabake hanna tara ibela suwo kono ila office ko anin dulalo star 363 has kumandi sai kiu pawa ki la duniya mala malandi kiusel suñu boss ntolle ngati
Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now we're on our social issues and joined by the Honorable Minister, my minister, with what I do, Mr. Bakari Baji, Minister for Youth and Sports. Thank you so much for joining us. So today, we're just having a general discussion on sports in the Gambia and the fact that Gambia made it to the quarterfinals of its maiden appearance to the AFCON. But Ibrahima, before we start, we'll just ask a question just so he clears this for us. Because people are calling him the luckiest minister when it comes to, since he came into office, there are a lot of developments that has been happening in relation to his area. The likes of Gina Bass making it, you know, having Gambia qualify to the AFCON to the extent of making it to the quarterfinals. So is it because work was put in volleyball as well? We have volleyball as well.
Even karate.
Even karate.
Yes.
So I don't know. Is this based on luck or is it hard work that was put in? Because people are saying he's the luckiest minister.
Oh, well, good morning. Good morning to all of you and good morning to Gambians. Is it luck or hard work? I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe luck, not on my part alone, but you know, the people that are leading the country at the moment, from the president to the sport association leaders to myself as minister, but also it's about hard work and the investment. I think, if anything, we've never lacked talent. We've always had some good talents. What was lacking was the right investment to the sports, to encourage, to ensure that athletes, footballers, and everybody is well prepared for the task ahead. And that's the difference now. You can see a lot of training camps, for instance, for the national team. Within a year, they had 4 different training camps in 4 different countries. And that has paid dividend. You also have Gina Bass being in Senegal, training, and eventually going to France and going to the Olympics and doing her best. So these are the things that were not there before, and now it's happening. So yes, it's a combination of luck.
And I said to myself,
what did you
this
say
Jola guy is lucky, you know.
But anyway, he said it's a combination of both luck and what extra was put in? Because I can remember during Jammeh's time, when it comes, the money was available with what we saw, the surface. That's what we saw. We do not know some of the technicalities inside. But what major? There must have been an extra push aside from just the camps and all of that was made to the extent that we're able to have all of these developments at one go.
No. With Jammeh, with due respect to him, I think the problem, his focus was on individuals, giving $1 million to players, but not investing in the infrastructure, and in the team as a collective. And that was missing. So yeah, you hear people say, oh, when Jammeh was here, he gave the players $1 million. Now, if you give them $1 million, how does that change their life? All you do is take the money, uncle will come, father will come, brothers will come, and you give it to them. But what we are doing now is to look at the team. Maybe individuals might not be giving $1 million, but you can invest 20 million in the team or 30 million in the team, something like that. So that is the difference between before and now. And the second part of it is, you know, what I said earlier about the issue of the investment. You see, sports don't go without investment. You know, but again, you need the right leadership. Now, as far as we are concerned, there is stability in the associations. You have the Gambia Football Federation stabilized, and they have a good management. They're able to have a coach that matches very well with what we want. And the same thing applies with volleyball. They have an association that is working well, and, you know, all of them. So, but if you look at the other sports, for instance, basketball, you rarely hear it now because there is some issues with the management. Yeah. You know, so sometimes it's about what association, what executive is in place, and what do they want to do, what do they want to achieve. So I know for football, they have had their programs in place and everything is going well. Now, government also was able to create a special fund, the levy, to fund the associations and fund the activities that they're doing. So these are the things that is the difference between now and what used to happen before. And we will see a lot of, like, the mini stadiums that are being constructed, or football fields that have been constructed, incomplete as they are, but these are the long-term investment that we're going to invest in infrastructure so that our young people in the regions will have somewhere else to practice.
Yeah, but he delved into something. I don't want us to miss it before we get into something else. You talked about refurbishment, or, you know, trying to rehabilitate some of these mini stadiums that we have. Is it in relation to the FIFA forward money?
No, it's not. It's that's a completely different thing.
So to delve into that, then how far with that? You know, because we've seen that it's affecting some of these leagues that are happening in the country because they are put on hold. Nothing has been done yet. So I just want to know what is happening in relation to that.
Well, it's good that you asked the question. You know, we've been confronted with that for a long time as a ministry. I mean, there is a difference between what the GFF is doing in these parks and what we are doing as a ministry in our own football fields. Now, GFF went into an arrangement with the zonals, Serekunda East, Serekunda West, Banjul, Brikama, to refurbish their stadium using FIFA funds. Now, FIFA funds don't come to government. FIFA funds always stays with the association. We don't even know what has been transferred and for what purpose. So they had the money to do that. Unfortunately, it stopped. I think they have explained why it stopped. Our own is the six that we are doing. And this has nothing to do with the leagues or has nothing to do with the zonals or the Nawetans. These are areas that are newly developed, reserved for football fields that we are developing. Like, for instance, in Kiang, that's not a football field. It's just a bush that has been cleared, and then they're using it for football field. The same thing applies with Sandu in URR. Now, Janjambure is a former football field that is being transformed into a standard football field. But it does not affect the zonals or anything, and, you know, it's good to clear it that what GFF is doing with the zonals is not our own. It's GFF. But
in as much as it's not your own, I know you have the powers to question. Yeah, right? So have you been questioning to know what's going on?
Yeah, no, of course we did. When the issue came up some few months ago, I think late part of last year, we did inquire from the GFF, and they gave an explanation that FIFA gave some funds, and then they started the project, so they were supposed to receive a second payment, and the second payment never came, and that's why they're not able to complete it. This is the explanation that we got from the GFF.
Reasons why it never came?
No, I think normally there is, you know, like when somebody gives you money, he expects you to reach a particular milestone in your infrastructural work. If you don't reach there and you want a second payment, it will obviously not come.
Then now, which means there's money missing that was supposed to allow them to reach that milestone.
Maybe.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Okay, Honorable Minister, let's take a look at the AFCON. I mean, our boys performed very well at the AFCON, and they stopped at the quarterfinal. What next? What is the Ministry of Sports, Youth and Sport doing to make sure we maintain these people? Because we don't want to go to one AFCON and don't go to another AFCON.
Very well.
Yes.
No, of course, that's not the intention. I think our own sports development strategies and the ones for the GFF is to have sustainability in everything that we're doing. And that's why I said Yes, it happened during our time, but there has been a process, you know, from decades ago, from years ago, to ensure that Gambia qualifies to AFCON. So that process is what we are on now. And the intention now is that this team is already a solid team. There is a huge list of players where the coach can choose from. And we have seen, before we went to AFCON, he has a list of 40 players. And then he had to trim it down to 28. So even people like Pamodu, Nda, and others retiring, he can always bring up the ones that were part of the 40 to become part of the team. But the coach also did say he has a list of about 100 players that are foreign-based Gambians that are playing. So that makes our team 100% professional-based players. So at every given time, there will be players available to play for the country. And we believe that with the good relationship we're having now between the government and the associations, that the support will continue, the collaboration will continue. And of course, we're getting out of AFCON, but we're heading into another one. Because this AFCON was supposed to be last year. So the 2023 AFCON is coming up in Cote d'Ivoire, in Ivory Coast in next year. And the qualifier round starts in March. So Gambia plays first game on the 21st, and then 29 with Chad. Yeah. Okay. So we have a home game and a away game. So we want to qualify, beat Chad at the preliminaries, go to the group level, and qualify and go to Ivory Coast.
All right, then let's talk about infrastructure when it comes to our sports in this country. We've been seeing most of our athletes or our footballers going outside to go train with other countries. What are we doing to make sure we have all the necessary infrastructure in this country to maintain our players and athletes here?
Now that's the challenge. Okay, maybe specific. I know the issue of Gina comes up when they say, "Oh, Gina is going to Senegal to do her trainings," and so let me just clarify the issue of Gina. The sports center in Senegal is not owned by Senegal. It's an Olympic center that is built to cater for the sub-region. So from Nigeria, because Nigeria doesn't have it, Gambia, Ghana, Ivory Coast, all these countries, Guinea-Bissau, all of them, Mauritania. Senegal is the one that was built by the Olympics for all these countries to go there and train. So that is the clarification that I want to make. But you know, when we look at Gina, Senegal doesn't have a Gina Bass. They don't even have an Ibrahima Kamara. You know, we are ahead of them when it comes to athletics. So yes, sometimes it's infrastructure, but sometimes it's also by the people. So yeah, so the center in Senegal is for the region, and it's not owned by the government of Senegal. It's a private owned. That's one thing. The second part, like I said, what we're doing now under the government of President Adam Barrow, we realized that infrastructure is lacking. And so when we created, when the levy came up, the idea is not just to finance teams to go and participate in international competition. The idea also is to use those funds to develop the infrastructure. And that's why you saw the Independent Stadium being given a facelift. Some renovation is happening there so that at least we're able to meet the requirement for CAF. And then the 6 football fields that I talked about, there's one in Kafuta, one in Kiang, one in Buyam, another one in Fulabantang, in Janjambure, and then in Sandu, in Yuara. All of these are meant to give a better playing field to the young people who want to participate in sports. And this year, we're planning to do the Kaur, Esau, and the Serekunda one, Boyo field. So all of these is meant to ensure that at every region, you might have 1 or 2 standard football fields that have a basketball lawn and a pavilion, at least to encourage our young people to go into sports and have a better playing field. So these are the things that we're doing. But apart from that, we're also looking at foreign training. How do we take our athletes, our coaches, to have the opportunity to go outside and be trained? Because the reality is, we have countries in Africa or elsewhere in the world that are ahead of us when it comes to capacity building. So we've signed an MOU with Cuba for a similar program. We are currently in discussion with Ghana because they have a sport institute, so that we can have maybe 1 or 2 people eventually go there to participate. So these are all plans that are coming, but they will be captured properly in the next sports development strategy that we develop.
Okay, and I would like to ask about motivation. There was a whole lot of noise when it comes to boys getting their bonuses. I mean, a whole lot of stuff. We've seen you come out and clarify that. So let's talk about this motivation. Don't you think, even if they train, they have the best infrastructure, if there is no motivation, it won't work, Mr.
Of course, it wouldn't. We realized that, I think, before the controversy came up the last day before we came back, you've heard us make announcement about bonuses. Now, those bonuses are meant to motivate the players. It's not the main factor, but we believe it's part of the factors. Now, the motivation, we do that because, like for instance, I go into conversations, go into training rooms, the change rooms, I go into their hotels, because we have those conversations and we believe that's one part of the motivation. In the AFCON, we took along some veteran players, and then the idea is that when these players see these other ones and they talk about their stories, that can serve as a motivation. So then there is the other part about ensuring that they get what they needed. You know, so from what used to happen previously, and this is not about me, this even before I was appointed, there has been a change from the GFF to the government in terms of ensuring that they increase their match bonuses. From what they used to have. They changed the hotels where they used to stay before. Now, when they come to the Gambia, they stay in one of the best hotels. When they go out, they book 5-star hotels and not 2- or 3-star hotels that used to happen before. And that is all meant to motivate them. Now, the money part, that's the big thing. We are not comparing ourselves with other countries. But there has been a huge increment from what they used to have to what they're having now, including a 100% increment during the AFCON. You know, and the AFCON, you hear us sometimes talk about bonuses that are not part of it. Like, for instance, we say double bonus. If you win or you draw, you get a double. That's part of it. Now, when we said they're going to get $10,000 from the CAF money, that's all part of the scheme. So it's never going to be enough, but we believe, and it's evident, that we have had a lot of improvement in the last 4 or 5 years and 2 years in terms of what they used to have and what they're having now. But it's a process. Eventually, we would get there when they will get all the things that they want.
And again, having a new stadium, is that something that you're working towards? Because currently, the stadium is locked because, you know, it needs to be worked on for the Gambia and Chad qualifiers because of the state of it. It's used for entertainment. It's used for everything because it's the only standard one that we have. So, you know, what are you doing to ensure that narrative changes eventually? I know stadiums are not just things you have with a snap of a finger, obviously, but I just want to know if it's in the notes.
Yeah, it is. It is. For the longest time, government have been trying to find a partner that can be able to assist in building a new stadium, either on a loan or a grant or something. But like you said, it's very expensive. To build a standard stadium will cost you more than $200 million to build it. So that's a lot of money, and third world countries like Gambia sometimes struggle to get that. But the intention is there, that if we need to have a new stadium. There have been places that have been identified already in the West Coast region, at least 2 places. So what is left now is to get that country or partner that is willing to come on board and work on it. But we are hopeful that this year, probably before the end of the year, we'll be able to have something very concrete about having a new stadium.
Maybe it might cost us a whole lot of money to build a new stadium, and partners might not come very quick. Why not we try to renovate our stadium in such a way that it will be a standard one? Because I believe this stadium was built long time ago.
Why not we change structure?
Mr. Baji, can we change the structure?
Of this stadium?
Yes, of this
stadium. No, we can renovate the stadium. But again, it's costly to renovate the stadium because the last time that renovation that was done there was about $10 million or so. You know,
really?
That is to, to change, you will not be able to see it because it's not the outside of it, it's the inside. You know, because our change room, if you've been in the stadium before, you look at the change room before and what is now is different. Because change rooms have been modernized now. You need to have individual seats and, you know, all of these locker rooms and lockers for everyone else. And then you need to have a media room. You know, so all of those things have been changed. The electrical fittings, the plumbing fittings were done in 1983 when the stadium was built. So all of that has undergone a lot of transformation. The whole electrical system of the stadium has changed. You look at the scoreboard. For a long time, we've not had a scoreboard. Now we have one. A new scoreboard alone, getting it from China, is a lot of money. You know, so these are things that have happened. But our intention eventually is to bring it up to standard. But there's a problem also with that because the stadium was built by the Chinese, and the kind of material they use, if you even want to chip that stadium, you cannot.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. So it requires a whole lot of technology, people that are advanced in engineering to come and do the proper work. But maybe I can say this, the Embassy of China have brought in experts, and they did a study did a whole overhaul study of the stadium and have already identified what needs to be done there. So what is left now is to be able to work with them to get the money that is needed to do it, and maybe partners that can support us in that. But yes, there is intention. Our intention is not to build a new stadium. We want to refurbish this one to standard and build a new one. Refurbishment, we're already ahead in terms of getting people to do that. The new one is the challenge.
It is, right?
Yeah. But what we want is, at least if we meet the CAF requirement, we should be good. FIFA have a lot more requirement. FIFA even wants individual seats on the stadium in order for you to host a FIFA game. So, I mean, individual seats is a problem.
It seems like it. But Ibrahima, in as much as he's the Minister of Sports, he's the Minister of Youth too. Right?
Absolutely. and it's youth dialogue.
No. This morning into youth dialogue.
Yes.
But anyway, we just use this as an opportunity to just, you know, just kind of engage you about youth issues as well. But we'll come into sport, we'll come back to sports as well. Young people are just where they are still when it comes to, you know, the opportunities that they get to talk about. I know when it comes to NEDI, you're able to secure a loan for young people that came from government coffers, which is still not enough. So what has been happening? You know, I know the AFCON has taken so much of your time, you know. We've not been hearing a lot of things when it comes to young people. In as much as young people are the ones playing football as well.
True. Yeah, exactly. That's a good understanding. That's young people also playing football. So when we cater for sports, we invariably catering for the youth as well. But there's some more issues around youth that is different from sports. And one of it is what you talked about, the issue of entrepreneurship, those young people that want to do business, the young people that want to be trained on skills and other things. So there is things that are going on. Maybe sports have dominated the media, and that is what everybody is interested about. Right. But there are a lot of, maybe not a lot, but there are quite a number of things that are happening in the youth sector. You did talk about the issue of the Enterprise Development Fund, and the loan is both a loan and a grant. So there's some young people that benefit from the grant. There are some that will have to apply for the loan because they want bigger amounts. So that's ongoing. This year we're actually looking at, because it was a $20 million. So this year we're looking towards increasing the amount so that we can be able to support more young people, because we've seen the benefits of young people involved in the sector. But also this year we're looking at a merchandise project. Now the merchandise project is meant to ensure that we have a lot of young people who are in the informal sector. Those that are interested in fishing, how do we support them to get fishing materials and boats so that they can go and do fishing? Those that are interested in opening a bakery, we support them. Those who want to go into mason and carpentry, we support them. But we're kind of drifting away from supporting individuals to supporting cooperatives. So the reason why we're doing that is because individuals, it's easy for them to kind of, you know, waste them, maybe not waste the money, but they cannot manage it by themselves. And sometimes a problem, you give them funds, 1 year down the line, you don't see anything. So what we're trying to do now is develop a cooperative, like 5-6 young people come together and we support them. So even if one is kind of lagging behind, the other four, the other one to push. You know,
but I'm particularly interested in NYSS because my Today Youth Dialogue 9 o'clock live will be having a representative from NYSS. And I went round to take a look at the work that they're doing currently with young people. And the thing is, where NYSS used to be is not there currently. It used to be that strong passage for young people, like a transition. You know, that is not it anymore, you know.
That is true. That's true. I think last year in August, when we had the passing out for a group of 150 young people that were going through the apprenticeship training program, I did make mention of those things, that NYSS used to be a very vibrant organization, institution supporting young people. Yeah, that has changed in the last few years, but we're trying to revive that again to ensure that NYSS becomes the NYSS that it used to be. So one of it is trying to review the laws, the NYSS Act right now. There's a consultant who is doing that. So that will bring some of the issues, including the mandatory youth service. You know, so already the law talks about it, but it did not stipulate how it's going to be done. So we're trying to roll out the mandatory youth service, wherein most of the young people, at least a number, graduating from university would have to undergo a 1-year mandatory service before they can be able to work in the civil service. You know, that's one. The other thing is the Last year we did the apprenticeship training program, and they're currently in the field.
Yeah, I saw them.
Yeah. All right. So at the moment we are recruiting the regular program.
Okay.
You know, the regular program is when you have about 150 or so that undergo a training camp for about 6 weeks or 5 weeks at the NYSS camp, trained by different people, and then they are residential. Once they graduate, they choose a subject of their own.
Okay.
Either they go to GTTI or Sehma Fools or Inside Training, and government pays for their tuition for 2 years, including a stipend that is given to them. So that is meant to bring back the NYSS. So the apprenticeship training program is on, the regular program is going to be on, and this is going to be the 13th batch, and then the mandatory youth service would come. So that is all these 3 programs going together, and then hopefully the young people will be given the opportunity, not just like you said, no sport, but also in skills training, in other opportunities, but also the opportunity to serve their communities, because the mandatory youth service is meant to, one, inculcate discipline and patriotism in the young people.
That is how it used to be.
Yeah, but
like
also,
a passage kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wish I had the opportunity, Ibrahima, to get to go there, because you know the thing is, for me, it's about maybe from high school you get to pass there, do some community service, have some sorts of responsibility before you go into the real world.
I mean, the minister mentioned it. I mean, inculcate discipline in you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of a passage that will guide you.
Right.
I mean, so I hope we are going to continue, Honorable Minister.
No, that's what we hope to. Sometimes, sometimes also some programs are great, but then down the line they are watered down due to many reasons. You know, sometimes about leadership, sometimes about the funding, sometimes quite a number of issues that need to be in place but are not. But again, these are all things that we will have to look at and identify where the problem is and try to solve it. So we're not going to sit here and make it look like everything is good. We understand there are challenges, and we are studying the challenges and trying to take actions that would remedy those challenges and make the NYSS and all the other institutions under the ministry more vibrant and drive towards reaching the aspiration or meeting the aspirations of the young people. That's something we must do.
Other countries have their own NYSS. I don't know how they call it, but the one in Nigeria, I know it's still functional. You know, you actually have to wear a uniform. Like, it's some sort of trying to discipline you and all of that. It's still existing, and it's definitely really going well. So when it comes to sports in the Gambia, there's a lot of talk about biases, as in just giving football the required support it needs, and other sports left out. Less known sports, or I don't know how they call it. For instance, when it comes to basketball, last episode of Youth Dialogue, they were here, they talked about the fact that they won, and they want to bring the trophy to you. You know, they want to come. And also, Shone, we have AFCON, but also there's zonals. Karate, the same thing, you know, because of the fact that Gambia has made it to the quarterfinals, it's really encouraging other sports.
Very well.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah, well, I've had those complaints also that we tend to focus more on football. Unfortunately, I try to also make people understand that it is not intentional that we're focusing more on football. Everywhere in the world, football is the most vibrant sports. That's the reality. The amount of investment that goes into football doesn't exist in any of the sports.
Exactly.
Now, so Gambia is not an island. We go by the global trend, and we go by the requirement. Like you talked about the issue of bonus. If you said, okay, we're going to give a player whatever amount, 2,500 for a game, for football, but you're not giving 500 to a volleyball player or basketball player, that is because football has reached that level. But also the amount of popularity, the amount of marketing, the amount of resources that a country can get when you reach a certain level in football, you don't get that in any other tournament. So, to give a clear example, for instance, Gambia reached the quarterfinals, and we know that the CAF would now give the Gambia 1.175 million for reaching the quarterfinal. Now, which other sports does that? Maybe not. And so these are one of the things. Now, the second part is also about the organizations. I didn't mention it before. JFF, for instance, of course, I'm not JFF, I'm not speaking for them, but I'm saying the kind of structure they have in terms of having an office, having staffs, and everything, they're running it by themselves, is different from basketball or volley. Now, we struggle, for instance, with basketball or volley or other associations. When they have an event, they will wait until two weeks before the event and will come and give us a budget and say, we want to go here, we want to do this activity. And we always find it difficult to raise the funds within that short period.
Okay.
So we don't receive the funds. Sometimes the leadership don't tell their people that actually we submitted a request 2 weeks before the date. And they will only tell them, well, we are waiting on the ministry to give us funds. But ministries don't have government budgets lying down there. I've said this before. We operate on a cash flow. Now, if you don't plan for something for next month, you don't expect to get it. So when we receive 2 months notification, that you already know that we are playing Chad in March.
Yeah.
So everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But how do we know that volleyball is going to host a zonal tournament here 2 weeks before the zone, and you expect us to give you all the money you need?
Well,
it doesn't happen.
Yes, most people don't understand that. All they think is once you send a letter to the minister and his ministry, they should sign a check for you.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. There's always a budget.
Minister,
So what we're trying to do this year, we've already written to the associations to say, give us your plans for the year. What activities are you going to have in the year that are statutory, that must happen? Of course, we are not have the money to the luxury to spend everything, but so that will be a way of addressing some of the problems that we have when they sit until last minute. But I understand their challenge also. They have an office at the stadium, they don't use it, they don't have a full-time staff. So these are all things that associations must take responsibility for. Sometimes it's not us, but again, people don't understand the differentiation between the associations and the sport council and the ministry. Each one of us have a role. Now, certain things will start from the association, it goes to the sport council, from sport council to us. Now, before it reaches us, it must have probably gone past, the date on whatever. So they will always blame the minister and the ministry, when in actual sense, there are others that are responsible. It's a chain. And let me, like for instance, if we look at Geneva, some people are saying, oh, he was supposed to go to the US, but the government did not support. It is not like that. There is an association responsible for athletes, and Gina is part of that association. We cannot act unless the association do what they're supposed to do, and maybe it goes to the GNOC and to the Sport Council, and it comes to us. So these are the type of layers that happen. But unless people understand this difference
a
and
lot
the
of
different
bureaucracy
roles,
then there is a problem. If the association is not proactive, then everything
But generally
will be slow.
with Gambia, the bureaucrat, because of all this bureaucracy, sometimes that's why things don't work here. The fact that it has to go through all of those channels.
Yeah, no. The sport is structured that way. Like for instance, us, we cannot deal with CAF. As a government, we cannot deal with FIFA.
Yeah.
It has to be the GFF that deals with them, even if they're talking about the national team that belongs to the state. That is how the sport is. Athletics, the GNOC, the IOC international level don't deal with NSC. Even if today the Sport Council writes to the IOC about an athlete, they're not going to respond. If Gambia government writes to the FIBA, the Basketball Association, about something happening in basketball in the country, they will not reply. Because we don't have that link with them. It has to take the association to write. So these are the things that are happening. So sometimes this association themselves, and let me just say, the people that are part of the association, they also must take responsibility.
They have to.
You cannot expect government to be the one fighting for you. You have associations, they have Congress, they have whatever they do. If you believe the leadership that you have is not serving your purpose, remove them in the elections and bring in a new executive that is ready to work for you. But if you have elections, you go and maintain the same people, and then after that you come to us and you want us to do the fight. No, we cannot do that.
No,
we are not responsible for that. In the past, we've seen government dissolve FAs, dissolve GNOCs and all that, and where did it take us? Nowhere. So us, especially me, I have taken a position that yes, if it comes to regulatory affairs, we would do it. But we are not going to go into fights for stakeholders who are powerful enough to make changes where they are. So these are the things that they must correct their
Well,
association before
sometimes
it
I
comes to
think
us.
we do the wrong thing behind and we start blaming the government.
As long as you have the right to vote.
Mr. Boy, how do you manage with all these blames? I mean, especially the Ministry of Youth.
Everybody
Everybody is pointing fingers at the ministry.
Sometimes you dafa ragal GFF.
Well, of course, yeah, they will say that. I mean, no, I don't
You
think-
danga ragal GFF.
No, I don't even see anything about ragal anybody. I mean, not to sound dictatorial, but nobody in government or a government cannot be afraid of an association. It doesn't happen anywhere. Government have the rights, have the authorities to take certain actions, but we must take actions that are in line with the laws, that are in line with international practices, and things that will take our sports forward. Now, for people to think that, oh, Limo would have already, no, I'm not doing that. For what reason? I mean, when we have reasons genuine enough to engage the GFF, we will do that as partners. When we think any association, not just any association, is doing something that is detrimental to the sport of this country, then we will take action. But for now, Some of these things are more of internal association issues that the associations themselves must address and their stakeholders must address. Now, when it comes to government, we will do our part. So why the blame is too much? Because Ministry of Youth and Sports is managing the two most delicate things in the country. The young people and their energies and their ambitions and sometimes misinformation and the sports. Everywhere in the world, sport is one of the most difficult things to manage. You know, so these two sectors coming together, because the ministry is two things. Now you have some countries when the ministry is just Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Youth. Here we have two very difficult things put together, which is the norm in English African countries. You know, Nigeria, Ghana is Youth and Sports and all of them. So yeah, we would take the blame, and our responsibility would be to explain to the public what our position is. Now it will be up to the general public to make a judgment, either to take the story of the other side or to take the story of government. That we will not force anybody. Like when controversies happen, I believe that managing information is good. So that's why sometimes people see me come out and explain things even without waiting for the PS or the DPS or somebody else. Because I believe that I can come out and explain to the public that this is what has happened. Now what the people believe, that's up to them. You know, it's not in us for us. But we will always be in those kind of controversies. But we're hoping that, you know, things will change and people have a better understanding.
Allow me to take you back. I mean, let's talk about the AFCON. How did you feel when the boys reached the quarterfinals? I'm asking you as a Gambian, not as the minister. How did you feel?
Well, I felt like just like any other Gambian. You know, everybody was proud. Surprising, maybe.
Yes, surprising. I wanted to hear that.
No, of course. I mean, if you listen to me at the gala dinner that was done the night before they departed to Douala, I said that you know, people don't expect much from the team, but I have watched the team play and I see the determination, and I know they will reach a level that people don't expect them. When I said that I didn't expect them to reach the quarterfinals, I've always had the belief that they will get out of the group stage and go to the 16.
Some didn't even expect that.
No, even beyond the group stage. I think they've always had the potential based on Mauritania and Algeria in the group to get out of there and go to the group of 16. Now, whether they will go past that level was a surprise. You know, but again, it shows the kind of commitment, the determination that these players have, and their readiness to represent the flag of the Gambia. And the whole country was behind them, and they know that. So the expectations was very high, and they were all ready to go out there and do the right thing. So it was a joyous moment for every individual without portfolio, without looking at the position that Gambia have done it. But you know, like I said in one of my interviews, there is a lot of benefits that comes along with that. If you look at Gambia went there as an underdog, but then you topped the group at one time and then came second. Then you went into the group of 16 and you went to the quarterfinal. The whole media was focusing on Gambia. I saw a journalist, a British article, where he said that the Gambia did not, they lost to Cameroon, but they won the hearts of people. That they lost the game, but they won the hearts of people. So the whole international media was focusing on Gambia. And that alone brings a lot of interest, a lot of, even tourism has a potential to promote tourism in the country. So we were all joyful. We hope it
for me, I knew everybody was joyful because at some point everybody wanted to take credit for it. We saw different people trying to do that, but anyway, it's Gambia for you. It's just the world for you, because when these things happen, that's just how human behavior is. So Honorable, before you leave, you were in here when the ministers were being sworn in by the president. So have you been sworn in now?
No, not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, looking forward. Okay.
I'll be sworn in very soon.
Very soon?
Yeah, I think in the next cabinet meeting.
Okay.
That's when I'll be sworn in.
All right, looking forward
unfortunately,
to that.
I was here for the inauguration and all of that, but I had to go back to Cameroon.
Okay, and,
before. I got permission, So we will do it very soon.
All right, looking forward to that,
and
Ibrahim.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. You know, like you mentioned, the young people are part of a huge demography of the country and quite marginalized. And sports, on the other hand, as well. Every day people say, everybody has their opinion when it comes to sports, and you have to try to balance it. So thank you so much for the work that you do. So Youth Dialogue, inshallah, because we're going to turn this morning into Youth Dialogue. So on a special invitation. Thank you so much for joining us. So Ibrahim, I'm afraid that is all we have time for.
No click today.
So hope you'll be going to the Independence. anniversary.
Yeah, it's my country. And this is a big day.
Yo, dafa melni jema ciosan bi dafa exa bop bi.
Dama ragal rek xam nga independence bi dafa fekk ñu ngi am family phone day out this QC.
Right.
So lolu rek moy nek galanko.
Yeah, but like Auntie Ami said, it's meant for us to reflect.
Well, we have Gambia
rather than celebrating is one thing, but making sure that we put the efforts together to see our country where we want to see it. So till we come your way tomorrow with another interesting program, bye for now.
Hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun ji senango adabe hadamadun la baluwole kon annun hadamadun ka fengo fen dundi akono kono ayanda ke ku senango ayke kuti mi yalo ko ata hadamadun mantora madingul one stop water solutions limited ibe janne Gambia banko kan annun ye filtarole natal me yalo ko isala jiol kende andi anu isa senen inatale pour ka ji kendo ji senango natale Gambia banko kan jiomi yalo ko atal manto